Welcome to the EDPF 50-Day Property Challenge, brought to you by Private Property and the EDPF Property Academy. I am Nigel Adriaanse, and I will be your host over the next 50 days as we assist Jared and Matt L as they enter their property journey. Join us as we teach you how to start your own property portfolio within a 50-day period alongside our celebrity guests. To kick it off, we interviewed Jared and Matt L on why they wanted to start investing in property, what they expected from the 50-day challenge, and now how we at Private Property and EDPF Academy can help them to reach their goals. Let's hear what Jared had to say when we interviewed him at the Radisson Blu Hotel in Riebeeck Street, Cape Town.
Hey guys, I'm singer, songwriter and South African Music Award nominee Jared Ricketts, and if you haven't heard about it before, you're going to hear about it right now.
Hello everybody, I am Nigel Adriaanse, the founder and CEO of the EDPF Property Academy. Today is the start of our 50-day challenge where we have asked celebrities to go with us on a journey of property investment. Alright, so let's introduce our very first celebrity, Jared Ricketts. Jared, please tell us about yourself, where you come from, and what you're currently doing.
Wow, so I am a singer, a songwriter, performer, and I'm from the Cape Flats, Athlone specifically. And I'm involved in various different projects. I'm a fashion designer as well, and I have my own company called JBR Productions, where we facilitate virtual corporate experiences across the country. And I'm just so excited to be here. So thank you to you and to EDPF Academy, Private Property, for being willing to share this kind of knowledge. I'm all about learning. It's going to be new, guys, for me, but I'm grateful that you're taking the time to educate us all on this.
Fantastic. So, guys, let's get started on our 50-day challenge. And the first question that I have for Jared is to ask him why property and why property investment specifically?
For me, it's a conversation I've never really been privy to. I don't come from a background where those conversations are had at the dinner table. Upon my own research, it is quite the industry and quite the opportunity to get involved in. And for me, it's about creating wealth for myself and my family, and of course, learning. So it's very important to me on that front. I've started developing, funny enough, a passion for properties. So I've been on Private Properties app and website so many times, earmarking what I would like to. You can dream, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm excited because I can finally potentially see this dream come to life.
That is amazing. And it's fantastic also to know that Jared comes from the Cape Flats and Athlone specifically, because actually that's where I come from.
Come on, guy, come on.
So we both come from the Athlone area. And basically, I think we probably have the same experience where property has never been a discussion to be had at the dinner table, because our parents actually don't know about property and property investment.
And their parents didn't know.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
so I think this is so important. Yes, for me, but for all of you who are going to be on this journey to become accustomed to knowing that this is an opportunity and it's possible for you. We look at something like property portfolios and we think it's unattainable. How am I going to make this happen? And it's because this kind of information was withheld before.
Absolutely.
And thanks to guys like you, they say we got an uncle in the furniture business, so we got an uncle in the property business as well. So I can't wait.
Okay, that's awesome. I wouldn't like to be called the uncle of the property business, but all right, let's go.
The brother of the property
business. I think that's a bit better, yeah. So as we kick off this journey, the first thing that I need to understand from you, Jared, before we can help you in the academy is, what type of property would you like to invest in?
I thought about this long and hard, and a property that makes me money. is what I want.
Yeah,
Actually.
absolutely. Yeah.
I want something that I can not have to live in, but something that can generate some kind of capital for me and that can pay itself off quickly, and that will open the door and unlock further opportunities to acquire more property.
Okay.
So I'm not necessarily looking for that city slicker, ceiling to ground, wall to wall glass. I'm looking for something that anybody would want to rent and that can provide some capital for me.
Okay, so let me throw a couple of scenarios out at you, and then you can decide which of those sectors you'd like to invest in, because the property sector as a whole has different components to it.
Okay.
So the ones that we normally teach at the academy are things like single residential, where you rent it out to a family.
Okay.
You've got what they call multi-lets, where you rent out a house or an apartment to many different people, and they each have a room, or maybe they share a room. There's student accommodation.
Okay.
And then there's commercial property, where you can rent office space or retail or industrial. So those are the things that are, or the areas that we normally would teach, because those are the easier ones to get into. So which of those would you prefer to be involved in?
Gosh, I would like the first option where a family can rent.
Okay.
But I'm also interested in somehow investing in property where I can support smaller businesses who need the space to operate from. That would be a cool idea. I'm doing so much research and it's so confusing, but it's between those two.
Okay.
I'm passionate about South African business. I'm passionate about creating property for myself that can develop funds at a later stage that families can rent. I haven't really looked into the student accommodation. That sounds exciting as well. So
awesome. Okay, so normally what we would do is we would take you on a journey where you start small, and that would then be a single residential home, which is exactly what you pinpointed already, and then build from there to multi-lets and then to student accommodation, and eventually get into commercial, because commercial is the most complicated. And especially in the current climate that we're in, where offices are no longer really sought after.
Yeah.
So we definitely will take you on that journey where we start with just the single residential.
Awesome stuff. I'm ready.
Okay, so the next thing that we need to look at is what type of value you are looking, or what type of investment value you're looking for. So in the first year or two, maybe up to 5 years, and then again, the value maybe 5 to 10 years. What kind of investment are you looking to achieve?
Okay, so listen, of course, I love to have an extensive property portfolio, but you've mentioned you got to start small. And for me, realistically, I can't take something that's beyond my means right now.
For sure.
To manage, because I'm learning firstly. And once I've acquired more knowledge, I can then look at how I can branch out. But definitely an accommodation for family, and maybe within the ballpark figure of 500 to 800,000 rand, something that's manageable to keep the interest rate low, and a good starting point. I think it's a good footing.
I agree.
And with your guidance and the pool that you're going to give me of people that I can tap into, we can see how far we can push.
Fantastic. So even without any education so far, Jared has already chosen a sector within the property space that is lucrative, brings good returns, as well as he is then able to rent it out quite easily, because that is the sought after area in terms of a financial investment. Between 500,000 and about 950,000, that is a very lucrative area to be in, or financial space to be in. Okay, fantastic. Then let's talk about medium to long term. So that is where you'd like to start. But where would you like to end up in, say, 10 years' time? What size of portfolio would you like to have?
Wow, I would love to have my own block of apartments.
Fantastic, okay.
Even develop them myself if I get to that stage. When I get to that stage, because we're going to get there, where I can tap into architects, I can really create something. I'm passionate about green, everything green. So I'd love to see in Cape Town that we could develop more spaces that lend itself to that lifestyle.
Fantastic.
And sort of, I would love to change the face of how we see young people and their attitudes towards purchasing property, and maybe making spaces that are a lot more affordable for the younger market to tap into. and grow from there. I mean, the possibilities endless like this. Block of apartments. From there, as I said, getting into the property spaces for corporates and businesses, and seeing if maybe I could merge the two somehow. All about creating new concepts. So as we move along, I'd like to see how I could find my own niche, but stay in the spaces that keep it lucrative.
So the next thing that we need to talk about, Jared, is we've now spoken about the people resources, but now we need to talk about the resources that you yourself will bring. So on the one hand, we talk about what they call sweat equity. That sweat equity is what you physically bring, both in terms of the time as well as your knowledge and understanding, and what you are able to put together in terms of finding the right deals, etc. We know that you are down for that, and we know that you are fully committed to this 50-day challenge and this journey. What we, in addition, need to understand is what type of financial resources are you able to bring to the party?
Sure. So I've been saving money for a long time. Look, acquiring property was always a part of my plan. I just always wanted to be prepared for when I get the opportunity to sit at the table like this and learn from great people like you, to unlock all of this. And so I've been working tirelessly to do what I do as a musician and earn some money to put away, so that I'm able to put down a deposit of some sort, and enough money so that once I put down the deposit and I acquire the property, that property is then able to unlock something else for me,
Excellent. So that is absolutely fantastic, because if you have your own finances as well, on top of possibly using other people's money, you can then build a portfolio that will be able to utilize the equity that is in that property. And by equity in a property, we mean what you yourself have put in financially. So you could then purchase your first property using your own money and a bit of a bond maybe, or some other people's money, investors, friends, family,
I like
whatever.
other people's money.
So other people's money is a phenomenal concept, not just in the property industry, but any business. If you have other people's money that you can utilize in your business, you can then grow your business much quicker. And more especially in the property sector. Because if you buy your first property, you put in some money, you bring in some other people's money, you can then use that equity that you've built up in that first property to purchase the next one, and eventually have your block of flats that you desire.
And that's valuable, because I don't think people know that there's this thing, other people's money.
Yeah.
And that puts everyone off, because you look at a property and you go, how am I going to acquire this? I don't have enough funds, probably don't have a developed credit record to acquire the loans that are needed. And so it's really cool to know that with EDPF, there is an opportunity to engage with people who can contribute to unlocking this.
Fantastic. Absolutely. And that is exactly what the Academy is all about. Not only to give you support, but also to help unlock those financial opportunities with other people's money. Okay, so the second to last question that I have for you is, what is your ultimate aim within this 50-day challenge that we have started today?
Of course, to acquire knowledge, because knowledge is power. When you know better, you can do better.
Fantastic.
That's a motto that I live by. And so, not only for myself, but I think it's important that when I acquire this knowledge, that I'm able to share this knowledge with people and help them along to define their journey. Of course, sending them your way, but me having a bit more insight to share with them. That's very important. I don't like talking about something I don't know about.
Fantastic. Okay.
And obviously, to acquire property, that's why I'm here. And whichever one comes first, I'm happy to dabble into it. And I'm looking forward to getting the guidance from the Academy and to see where this takes me. I think this is a great start from now to the end of the year into next year, where we could be sitting together comparing property portfolios and saying, wow, Jared, this has been quite a cool journey. Look at you now.
Yeah.
Started from the bottom. Now I'm on the top floor of my own building, because we can do that. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun. And property is what I want to get after these 50 days.
Fantastic.
And letting that be the starting point for greater things.
Awesome. And just as a side note, as a mentor and somebody who loves to help people to build property portfolio, my ultimate goal is to ensure that every single one of the people that has gone through this journey with me actually has a bigger portfolio than I do.
Come on!
Okay, so the very last question then, Jared.
Yeah?
Do you have what it takes for this 50-day challenge?
How much time do you have left? Because I'll be here for another hour telling you that I am ready to take this on. And I encourage you to do the same thing. You know, fear should not stop you. And fear is a result of not being prepared and not understanding. But when you have both knowledge and you have a plan, you can take yourself to the next level. And that is what this is all about. And I cannot wait to see what it looks like at the end of the 50 days.
Fantastic. So guys, come and join us on this phenomenal journey, this 50-day challenge. And when you learn from our celebrities, we'd like you to implement that in your own life so that you also can become a property investor. We believe that every person that has the knowledge and understanding of how to start a property portfolio will be able to do so. So come along on this journey with us. Start your own property portfolio but with the learnings that we are going to have over the next 50 days and build your own property portfolio. We'd like to thank you for this time that you've spent with us today. This is the first day of our 50-day challenge. We are very excited. And thank you, Jared, for being part of this journey with us.
Listen, I'm excited. It's going to be great. Let's get into it. Starting the 50-day celebrity challenge. And so I want to thank you for being a part of the conversation, and I want to encourage you to continue to stay tuned as we learn how to develop our property portfolio with EDPF Academy and private property. And can we just have a round of applause for the set, this gorgeous venue that is the Radisson Blu right here in Cape Town.
Thank you for that insightful discussion, Jared. Next up, we have Matt L, where we interviewed her at the Sterkfontein Heritage Lodge in the Cradle of Humankind. Let's hear what she had to say about her property journey.
So Mata, let's get started. Tell us why it is that you want to invest in property.
Thank you so much, Nigel, for such a kind introduction. So, one thing I certainly believe is that school teaches us a lot on how to save, but we're not necessarily taught and equipped with the skills on how to grow capital and how to necessarily build, what is it called? Generational wealth, right? That's the word I was looking for. And for a person like me, who's a radio presenter, who's a DJ, do a lot of things, MC, TV, there's a lot of cash flow that comes in, but that money can go as fast as it comes in. And hence, it's quite important to invest it in something that you know is long-term. The property space, I definitely believe, is a space where, if done correctly, because you could invest wrongly, but if done correctly, you could potentially have your money locked in a space where you know it will grow over long term.
Fantastic. So tell us, have you already bought a property? Are you already invested in a property?
So fortunately, yes, I am. I do have 2 properties that I had acquired whilst I was in the corporate space. Not sure yet if it was the best move because I was doing it with quite limited knowledge. However, when we went through a space of lockdown, I was quite grateful that I did that, because when there were no gigs, no events, that rental income that I was receiving is what actually kept me afloat. So I'm quite passionate about creatives and artists actually exploring other avenues of where to keep their money invested.
That is amazing. And I mean, as we know, or some of us know anyway, within the creative space, people think, yes, you're famous, so you obviously have a lot of money. Tell us what that experience has been like for you. And you know, when people look at you and go, you must have a lot of money.
To be honest, it's not all gold that glitters. I think it takes long-term planning as well in order for you as a creative to actually make a lot of money. But in the beginning, it's really not that much. much.
Mm.
It's one gig here and there. Sometimes that gig you're just breaking even. It's just enough money to get you to the gig and back, just enough money to pay your team. So not so much in the beginning, but of course, if you're passionate and you consistent with whatever you're doing, eventually your brand will hold a presence and you'll attract other brands into your space. And then over a long-term period, you will start to make good money.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that we did not tell you or beforehand what we're going to ask you. And really that's because you've now told me you've already purchased 2 properties. So because you've already purchased 2 properties, and the EDPF Academy is more about helping people who know nothing about property to get into the space, why have you chosen the EDPF Academy then to be part of this program?
The reason I say that is because I still believe that there isn't a lot of academies that focus specifically on developing people's property knowledge. When I was doing that, I was doing it blindly.
Yeah.
It was something I was trying out, and hence I specifically said investing in property is a good idea if done correctly. There's a lot of people who find themselves buying property and then they're stuck.
Yeah.
And it becomes a loss and more of a liability, whereas property is an asset if done correctly. So one thing I know for sure, especially with the EDPF, is the fact that you impart knowledge on people. You partner people with stakeholders who also impart knowledge on them, like accountants, like, lawyers, all those things that you obviously need to acquire property, because even in the property journey, you're not alone.
Yeah.
When you get to the bank, how do you ask for credit? What do I need to have good credit? Those things we're not taught. And I know that through the academy, I'll definitely polish those.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because within the academy, we give you all the tools that you require, whether it be, like you say, lawyers and accountants, architects, quantity surveyors, town planners, engineers, as well as support in terms of how to raise capital. So one of the big things that normally is a problem in terms of trying to build a property portfolio for most people in South Africa, or even in the world, is how do I raise capital and where do I find the money? So let me ask you this question then. When you bought your first 2 properties, how did you go about raising the capital to purchase those 2 properties, knowing that in South Africa, most people can't even buy one property?
So first of all, it starts with obviously having a good credit score.
Yeah.
And with that good credit score, I was then able to approach a number of banks. That was the route I had. I did not have cash on hand to be able to do this. So I had to acquire some form of credit in order to be able to buy the property. But this is what makes it more interesting for artists and creatives. Sometimes you don't have that pay slip that you can bring to the bank. So how then do you raise the capital? So I think it's going to be quite interesting now that I've transitioned out of a corporate space with a lot of stability and a lot of knowing for sure for the next 6 months I have a salary, whereas in the creative space, 3 months you're great, 2 months you're not, another 5 months you're great. So it's just also how do you still then secure that capital with such a volatile industry.
Which is fantastic. I mean, that is one of the things that we in the property industry love talking about, using other people's money. And that is one of the things that we're going to be teaching you over this 50-day journey. So just to reiterate, the 50-day journey, we're going to help Matt L to build a property portfolio more than the 2 she already has acquired, and using all the tools at her disposal, as well as all the tools that we as EDPF will help her. So your first step into this new environment, what is the value of property that you're looking to invest in to start with?
I think looking at the property market, especially in terms of coming out of a lockdown and all these things, I'm not looking to go anywhere near $1 million. No. To be quite honest, my ballpark is between 450 and 650.
Okay.
But I'm more centered towards the 450. The only reason I'm saying 450 to 650 is that if the value of the property is 450, then I'm just adding on those extra costs that I'd still need for the transfers and if any renovation potentially is needed, just factoring that as well. But the property price I'm really pinning for is 450.
Fantastic. Listen, we're embarking on this journey, but you've already learned quite a bit because of your experience. So that'll help you a great deal to reach your goal much quicker than anybody else who starts from scratch. So the next question that I want to ask you, property is not a short-term journey. Property is a long-term investment. And a lot of people think property is a get-rich-quick scheme. No, it's not. It is purely a long-term investment. So let's say over the next 10 or 20 years, what is the size of the portfolio you're looking to invest in?
Okay, so if I'm going to be part of a 50-day challenge and am well capable of acquiring a property in 50 days, then that would then mean I could potentially at least acquire one property per year, right?
Yeah.
2 per year, in fact. One maybe every 6 months.
I'd prefer that, maybe even 10.
Maybe even 10. You know, factoring the fact that we have 365 days. So if I'm going to learn how to do this in 50 days, then I'm definitely going to use that 50 days aggressively moving forward.
Fantastic.
So if I was to give it a figure, you're going at $500,000, let's say $1 million a year, 10 years, definitely let's say 10 million.
Fantastic. I love that. I absolutely love that. So guys, we would like you to follow us on this journey. We would like you to use the methodologies that we are going to showcase over these next 50 days. And we'd like you as the public to also start investing in property and using these methodologies to become property investors yourselves. As we've spoken, we can start small, which we'd prefer for you to do, and then grow your portfolio over 10 to 20 years. And you could very easily build a portfolio of 10, 20, even 30 or 50 million rand using other people's money if you don't have your own. So, Matt Al,
Yes,
are you ready for this journey?
I am so ready. I am so excited and I can't wait to start.
Excellent. So guys, let's go on this 50-day journey together. Let's join Matt Al. Let's join the rest of the team and the EDPF Property Academy as we go forth on this 50-day journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on this 50-day property challenge journey. Join us again on Monday as we begin to look at how to invest in property with our 2 celebrities. And hopefully we'll be able to help you to start your own investment journey.